Greetings. Thank you for joining me on this adventure through Eve is per hour. My name is Greg, and I'm going to be showing you how to use the program. Now, before we begin, I'm going to assume you have no functional knowledge on the program itself. Therefore, I'll keep everything down as dumbed down as I possibly can. Now, as far as Eve is per hour goes, a lot of this tool is going to help you path out an idea of what's worth it, what's not. How much is per hour you can be making mining certain materials or manufacturing certain products. Now, as another disclaimer, this program has not been updated for the latest crystal patch, the prosperity patch, so the mining is kind of off, but this will help you at least get set up so that when they are fixed, you have a rough idea of what to do. So without further ado, we're going to head over here to File, Add Character, and you'll log in with EVE Online. Make sure all the scopes are selected. Very simple process here. Once it's loaded, it'll take a second to refresh. Perfect. You should have your character loaded down here at the bottom, Gregory Maricati. If you want to add more characters, you can go over here to Manage Account and add more characters. If your character just recently got some new skills, refresh token data. It's that simple. Alright, so let's get started. Your first step is going to go over here to Update Prices. Why? Because you need the prices from GDUP. And we're going to click down here at the bottom. If you look, Market Browser, Save Prices, Load Prices, blah, 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 blah. Download Prices. That's the most important thing for you right now. I'm not going to click on it. You know why? My prices are already downloaded. And number two, the EVE Marketeer servers are offline. So if I click on this, it'll loop itself into oblivion trying to update prices that will never update. As a forewarning, this program is kind of glitchy, so I would keep Task Manager up at all times to forcibly close the machine. Forcibly close the application if you need to. Just like that. Alright. Let's assume you've managed to update your prices. Very good. Let's head over to the Mining tab, where we'll begin plotting our course. So, this might seem like a lot of information, but let's break it down by section. So we're going to look over here at the options. This is where you're going to configure your settings, where you're mining, what you're doing. So in our case, we're going to keep it on ore, because we're going to be doing moon mining. But obviously no high-sec moon mining, but that's not very relevant, because, you know, you get the same moons all across the place. But regardless, in the case of, if we were to, mine Veldspar, you can go ahead and click on this link. And we're also going to checkmark the high-yield ore section, which indicate the moon ores with those adjectives like twinkling or sparkling, or and also the 15% yield increases for certain ores. So you're going to want to check high yield ores, or dense Veldspar instead of Veldspar, right? Now here's where we would select our ore location. We're going to go ahead and uncheck wormhole, trig. We're going to keep our basic things here and keep our moon mining up. And from the next tab here, we've now selected the options. We have that configured correctly. Awesome. Great work. Let's head over to ship mining drones. So this is what your ship is going to be mining with, drone-wise. So first things first, my spec skill is going to be at a 4. And my interfacing is also going to be at 4. We're going to make sure those are configured properly. And my operation skill is 5, which means I should be able to access mining drone 2s. Right? We're going to assume high waste, high yield. And we're going to have 5 of those. Boom. Right away, it calculates what your minimum M3s per hour is going to be, and your ideal range of your mining drones. Awesome. We have that configured. Before we head to the booster mining drone section, we're going to go over down here to the fleet booster option. Now these are going to be for multi-boxers, or if you're part of a Dragon fleet and you have a nice hefty boost on your grid, go ahead and tick that fleet booster. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to assume a Oracle fleet booster with max skills, max mining foreman, max director, and max industrial reconfiguration. The mining foreman mine link is always going to be clicked on. If they don't have it, that's ridiculous. And we're not going to check the industrial core. We're going to assume we're doing unsieged org buffs, and we are going to use mining drones for this example. You see here I click the T1 drone rig. If I click it again, it's T2 drone rig. So we're going to assume 2 T2 drone rigs and a T1 drone rig. From there, we're going to check the enhancement charge, but remember, same thing, same process here. We're going to double click for a T2 because that's what we're using. T2, T2, T2. And you can't put 3 T2 rigs on a single ship. Well, for drone rigs anyway. So now that we have this configured, looks like we have the fleet booster mining successfully. Let's hop back up here to the booster mining drones, and now we should be able to select our boosters mining drones. We're going to give them max skills. We're going to give them 5 drones, and because they're works, we're going to give them the excavator mining drones. Note how it does not estimate the drone yield yet. That's fine. That's because I actually haven't clicked these. Okay, there we go. So now old work was mining 108 K M3s per hour. That's pretty impressive. So now that we have that selected, we're going to go over to the right here, mining skills, shift setup. We're going to go ahead and click on, we're going to be mining with Hulks today. And we're going to be mining max skills. We're going to be mining with modulated 2s. We're going to be mining with, if you look here, these are the upgrades. We're going to be mining T2, right? T2, mining laser upgrade 2s, with T2 crystals. So see the selection here. Number of miners 2, which means the number of modulated strip miners, there's 2 of them, and the number of upgrades are 3. You drop this down to 2, you know, if you had a damage controller or bulkhead in the low slot, but for now we'll keep it 3. Implants. Of course, if you have any high wall implants, you can apply them here. If you have that crazy expensive excavator augmenter, of course. And then any mining rigs here you can apply, which mostly consists of drone or macoxite, and ice also is applicable. But not in this case because we're mining ore. So I always check use a hauler. That doesn't really matter when you're using a booster, but that's nice. So now what we're going to do is reprocessing. So if you're mining with Dragon, our reprocessing percentages are at 86%, which means that you're going to be processing 5, 5, and we go over here to the moon processing. We're going to be processing at 4 across the board. Assuming 86% across the board, it's going to be all 4s. Right? And then before we go any further here, we're going to fix some settings here. So we're going to go up to settings. We're going to go to set application settings. And we're just ignore all this. We're going to go over to the right, implants. Manufacturing beam counter implant. If you want to reduce your industry time, you can select your implant here. And reprocessing beam counter implant. So in this case, we're going to give yourselves the 804 because Dragon's using it at 86%, so we want to make sure we're matching the settings. So we're going to save. It's going to update everything, settings saved, and it's going to wipe all the data we just did. So that's good. We'll just go back through and set everything up how we wanted it. Now's a good time to mention that if you'd like to save these settings, that is possible, and it is appropriate. So we're going to do that actually here. So we're going to do save settings here so that we don't lose the settings anymore. Come over here to the Hulk, give the T2, give it the implant. We'll pass on the implant right now. All right, so we're going to save the settings here. Oops. 4, 4, 4, 4. Make sure that's all configured properly here for all 4s under moon ore processing. Now, this is something that we'll have to figure out here. So what we're going to do here, since we are in QT, we'll just do the Athanor. We'll take fitting here. And the only one you'll need here, so this might seem confusing to those who don't have, have never used a structure before. Just click on the reprocessing rigs, right? And we'll look at the stand-up moon ore grading processor 2. That's just going to make sure that we have the maximum efficiency on an Athanor. Save settings, save facility, close. Boom. Now let's go ahead and click calculate. I forgot to add the booster. Calculate, there we go. So there we go, we're at 86% yield, and we're looking at, for example, with our booster, with our single Hulk, with the current settings, we're going to be mining Xenotime at approximately 220 ISK per hour. That's including the yield from the work boosters and the Hulk itself. So for the sake of the testing, we're going to turn off the work mining, and we're at 220 mil. It actually looks like it does not calculate that. Again, this application is sort of buggy, so I'm going to see if I can get it to fix itself. No. So, looking at the data here, so from what it looks like, Xenotime R64 refined yield is per hour. So for a single Hulk mining with Well, that's T1. Let's fix that here, actually. A single Hulk mining. Okay. There we go. It fixed itself. It was a bit buggy, I think. It looks like it's a bit bugged. Good gravy. All right, so for the sake of testing, we'll stick to the strip 1 miner 1 because this modulated 2 is broken. So Xenotime. A single Hulk is going to mine about some data here. I'm gonna off-click it just so you can see it a little easier. So Xenotime, refined, unit price, refined yield, crystal, M3 cycle, drone yield, units per hour. Right, that's how much units per hour you're going to be mining, and that's your ISK per hour. Right, so now let's get a little funny with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the ID core on to level 2. How's that going to look? Well, you get a whopping 80 million per hour increase. 80 plus million. That's crazy. It also gives you an example of your cycle times and range. Now keep in mind, this isn't updated for the latest, but just to give you an example. So we'll turn that off for now. We're going to go over here to multi-boxing. Say you're a multi-boxer like me and you have 9 miners. So you're going to click that, you can click calculate and be like, wow, I make 1.9 billion ISK per hour. Now keep in mind, that is the R64 specifically, right? So if you want to be a more reasonable estimate, if you're not mining Xenotime, Monazite, Loprite, or Ytterbyte, say you're mining Sperrylite, right? By yourself. Say you're mining Sperrylite by yourself, having a good time. Wow, 47 mil an hour. Not bad. I mean, ISK per hour there, 47 mil an hour, that's not bad at all. We go over here to Octavite, 48 million, you know, and then you get up to Cinnabar, Polisite, all these R32s, you know, that's really good. I mean, considering low sec incursions are netting you about 42 mil an hour, that's pretty appropriate. This helps you target what you need. Now, the lower end of stuff, right? The highest R4 is Bitnewins, right? 32 an hour. That's not bad. That really isn't. And especially with these crystals, changing the way yield works and everything, it could be a lot more. So we'll take a pause on this for now. This is how you set up the mining yield. We'll circle back to this when we update, when CCP or when, excuse me, the developer for EVIS per hour updates the program for the latest update. So let's get ready for part 2 of this program, which is the manufacturing side of things. Now, say you've been mining for months and you have a stockpile, or you're selling it all to Solath, or you're looking to make a move into manufacturing. Well, you're in luck. It's me, Greg, looking to set you up with manufacturing. So what are we going to set up, you might ask? Well, let's keep it simple, keep it swift, and keep something to my skill set. So step 1, we're going to find out, we're going to see how to build, let's see, what do we want to build, actually? Let's say we want to build Serbs. Let's say we want to build some Caldari heavy assault cruisers. So let's get started. First things first, we need to figure out how to build, or if they're worth building, a Caracal, right? Because that's the first step. So let's go ahead and click on the Caracal. If you see I searched Caracal, it came right up. Now, this will be configured differently, so we're going to make sure that this is, I would say, about 10 runs per blueprint, right? We're going to have 10, 10, 20, you should always. And let's say you have, let's say you're just getting into it, so you only have 5 you have 5 copies of 10 runs, right, with 5 lines. So you can produce up to 50 Caracals at once with maximum settings. Great. So then we're going to go over here and we're going to go to Cobalt Edge, and we're going to go to, say we're mining an OTAC. Well, no, let's do QT because of the manufacturing. So QT, let's say we're eating in a Azabel, right? We have the fitting. We want to do just like we did the mining before, except we want to go to engineering, and we want to do I'm not sure what the rig is here, honestly, but we're going to do the basic manufacturing. Actually, what we're going to do is there is actually a Sotio about 2 jumps away that has the T1 rig. So we're going to go ahead and do that just for example's sake. So let's go stand up Excel. Oh, it doesn't have T2. Whoops. It has the T1, which the T1 isn't bad, you know. So let's just use that for now as an example. So save fittings, save settings, close, right? So you're looking at material efficiency 5.16, time efficiency 59.4. That's a decent amount, right? Now here it'll also give you how much the job cost will be. So it looks like it's about 151K for the job cost. So that's pretty cheap, right? And now what's most important is the market price. So we can click here for price per unit, so we can go see how one cost is and how that all breaks down. So let's just assume we're making the maximum. We're making 10, right? We're making 10. We're putting 2. Basically, what we're doing here is we are taking 5 Caracal BPCs, and we are loading two runs a piece per job, because we have 5 jobs. It makes 10. So here I have 10. Right, maybe some taxes, right, depending on if you're selling them locally or not. So we'll assume taxes, and we're going to go ahead and take a look here. So it's going to take about an hour and a half for the 10 Caracals. Looks like the ISK per hour, about 5 million ISK per hour with my current settings. Your settings will vary if you don't have Advanced Industry 5, but for this example, if you were to purchase all of the tritanium, pyrite, Mexilon, isogen, everything. If you were to purchase everything, get it shipped up, not including shipping cost, and make the Caracals, you would make 7 million an hour. Or, excuse me, 4.9 million an hour. That's not bad. That's a pretty good price. Especially considering you're buying everything and shipping it up here, and then exporting the Caracals. So that's a decent turnaround. So Caracals, we know, are profitable. And now we're going to go to a quick break. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, we've determined that Caracals are profitable. Awesome. Now let's take it to the next step. Now you've mastered T1 manufacturing. Now, of course, you can go over here and change it to Vexors or whatever other cruisers we use, Hurricanes, for if you want to see battle cruisers and all that good stuff. Let's take a look. Are Hurricanes profitable, you think? Take your bets now. Bam, Hurricanes are profitable, just not as much. You see the margin is much smaller, 1.3 an hour, right? Well, that's actually, I lied to you. I lied to you. We have to make sure our prices and stuff are considered here. Refresh. 6.6 million an hour. It's a bit more profitable. Now, keep in mind, these are JITA prices as well. So, if you're manufacturing up in Cobalt Edge, it could have a bigger turnaround. Of course, if there's a market for the hulls you're selling. So again, what we wanted to do is see if we could build some SERPs. So Caracal, boom. Back at the Caracal. We're back at 10 runs. We're back at 5 lines and 5 BPs. Refresh. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Next step is to go to the Cerberus. Whoa. You might look at this like that's you're not making any money, right? That's what it looks like, right? So let's take a look at the fitting. Let's make sure that not consumable, we want to make sure that is it structure set and component? I'm not sure. Let's see if that's the one. It's not. Okay. So, with the current prices, right? With the current prices, if you were to buy all of the advanced T2 material, or all the components to build the SERB, you would be losing money, right? You would not be gaining money, right? That's what it's telling you. That doesn't mean they're not profitable. Okay, so let's take a look. What does that mean? So we're at the advanced tab. We've turned basically the minerals, we've turned the moon goo, we've turned everything, all the reactions down to the base components, right? Down to the most advanced components, rather. So let's see what about raw. That changes things. So if we were to go to raw components or raw materials, we're turning a profit now. Granted, 200K is not much, right? But think about it this way. So let's say we mine some diisoprosium, right? Let's say we mine some chromium from promethium, neodymium, titanium, right? Let's say you mined all of that here in Dragon. We have the moons, we have the moon goo. You can do that. Let's say you mined it all. Well, that reduces your. I mean, look at that. That's the 3 highest costing per SERP. That reduces your cost by. Let's get the numbers. 46 plus. I'm not even going to count the extra change, right? About let's say round it up 100 mil. Saves you 100 mil per haul, right? So instead of total mat cost 150 mil, it's 100 mil. It's 56 mil. So if it's 56 mil, right? What's your profit? Right? If you spent 56.5 mil on jobs, on taxes, you know, on minerals, on everything, and you sell it for 219, I mean, that's 162.5 mil profit, right? Per hour. That's 10.8 million an hour, right? And that's on top of what you already mined at Dragon. You know, so you might see this and you're looking at this like, well, I'm not making money. I'm just write it off. It's like, no. You can make money. It's just going to take you more work, right? Like how anything works, right? You mine the moons. You get Solaf to refine your moons. He contracts you the moons to you. You get a smile on your face. You head to your Tatara and you start your reaction formula or formulae. Woohoo! And you break it down. And you turn it into SERPs, you turn it into components. But so how does that even work though, right? That's how do you wrap your head around turning this into this, right? Okay, well, let's say you already have the Caracals. Say you've been working on the Caracals, you have a backlog, right? We're just going to ignore the fact that you have the Caracals, right? The T1 item. You have the Caracals. Great. You notice how the profit and stuff goes up because you're not paying for the Caracals anymore, which you did, right? But let's assume you mined most of it. So now what? Say you've gathered up everything here. So you have everything here that you need, right? And the isotopes and ozone and strontium, all that stuff is just the fuel blocks you need for the jobs, by the way. So ignore those because you'll need them in the process part here. Okay, great. You got those things. So now you want to turn those into SERPs. Well, now it gets a little complicated. With how T2 production works, you have to keep in mind that this titanium diabrite armor plating, right? Let me just see these settings. The diabrite armor plate is unique to Caldari T2, right? If I go and want to build Ishtars, then I'm building crystalline carbonite armor plating, right? It's different. It's unique. Same thing with the fusion reactors, ion thrusters, all this stuff, all this named jargon, all this crazy stuff. It's just code for, like, look, sustained instead of pulse. Instead of an ion thruster, a mag-pulse thruster, right? Instead of a graviton reactor unit, is a fusion reactor unit. It's just specific names for specific components per faction, right? So if you want to focus on Caldari T2 production, if you make all this stuff for the SERP, you can make all this stuff for all of the T2 Caldari ships. That's crazy. You know, once you get one thing going, you can make whatever you want, right? Same thing with Amar, same thing with Mimitar, same thing with Galente. If you're making the components for T2 production, then you can make any of the T2 production ships, except for the capitals, with those components. Right, so let's assume you got everything. Right, we're going to go over to the process tab. So now you can see what it takes, how much of each reaction you need. Right, and so what you'll have to do is buy each reaction formula, ferrofluid, blah, 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 all this stuff, which there'll be another video in the future going over the reaction spreadsheet so that you can build out your reaction like plot so that you can determine what you need, how many reactions you need to buy, what sort of imports you need to make certain amounts of stuff, which helps with this process. But essentially what you're going to have to do is buy all the reaction formula to fulfill this quantity of reactions. And then furthermore, you'll need the advanced reaction formula like ceramic fibers, carbonide, non-linear melted materials. You need those reactions that use other reactions, right? And then you use these reactions, these advanced reactions, to make the components. And then you make the components into the blueprint. right? So it is a chain, right? There is a process to it. It is complicated. This is not easy. But like I was saying, I mean, 10.8 mil an hour passively is a pretty, I mean, 10 mil an hour passively. It's a pretty good chunk of change. Now, then it's up to you to sell the hulls and move them out and, you know, all the logistics behind it, but that's industry for you. That's the whole logistical chain, right? And if you don't, I mean, if you don't like that, you can outsource, right? You can have other people haul your stuff or other people mine your stuff or whatever. But if you're the master of your production line, if you're the master of your logistics, if you're the master of your mining and you're master of your production, you're not paying anybody but you. So it comes down to what effort versus value you're getting out of it, right? If you just want to do T2, T1 production, I've shown you how to do it. I've shown you how to get started with ETHs per hour to determine what's valuable and what's not. If you want to do T2 production, I've showed you how to do it. I showed you what's valuable. I've showed you the reactions. I've talked to you a little bit about what each component means. If you just want to do simple mining, no problem. I've showed you how you can determine what's worth your time. So, with that being said, if there are any questions, please direct them to my Discord. You can go ahead and message me or ping me in Dragon. I don't mind. Other than that, stay tuned for the reaction formula that will expand on our T2 production. This has been Gregory Maricati signing off. Farewell, and make ISK.